Hey,
Hello, hello.
what's going on, man? How are you?
Good. Yeah, just another day, another dollar, another fire to put out.
Yeah, I hear you.
Normal, normal. How's the kids doing?
Good. Everybody's sick in the house, unfortunately.
Oh,
But
okay.
day in the life. All good.
Seems like that's pretty normal for younger kids.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when you have a toddler, you got to like take them to play areas. You can't just stay at home, so just naturally everybody's going to get more sick.
Yeah, I'm sure he's just like touching everything, like
100%, yeah. Yeah, just wiping his hands on dirt and eating it.
the good
But
old
it's
days,
all
huh?
good. What's today's fire?
Just stuff in general, like nothing specific, but just like things we thought were one thing are now a different thing, or yeah, just like kind of a bunch of, without being too hyper specific, there's just a lot of random things. We're working on our voice thing, and we had a demo, our first live demo of it on Tuesday, which went really well.
Nice.
And so technically it's working great and all these things, but we're having trouble figuring out the monetization side of things in terms of like how do we structure call caps and concurrency limits. Because like on one hand we want to be able to kind of let people use it as much as possible, because that means more money for us, more money for the agency, more usage for the client, more value that they're getting.
Sure,
But on the
yeah.
other hand, like we don't want someone to upload 100,000 records and just like rip cold calls to people.
Interesting. Yeah, of course.
And it's kind of like,
So
how do
is that just
we
like a compliance issue that you're trying to navigate, or could it like cause an error on your system?
both, both.
Yeah.
So like the legality side of things is tricky because like we can put up a form that says you agree that these are all opt-ins, but like if someone's going to do it, they're just going to do it. Like there's
For
not
sure.
really a way for us to validate that they have actually opted in.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, like, do we think that the agency account who's purchasing maybe 100 calls per day total, should they be allowed to send out 10,000 calls? Or should we try to push them to a higher tier plan to have them pay more for that higher limit?
hmm
So in the
Truthfully, this sounds like
businesses
a
that,
good problem, though. You're trying to like mitigate usage of a feature that you know is going to be abused. In a way,
exactly,
it's kind of a good thing.
kinda. I mean, it's like, yeah, I guess good problems to have in a sense.
Yeah.
But like for example, the dentist office that we've implemented this for the past couple months now, they are staying under. I mean, I think they're under like 50 calls per day. So like well under the base limit of like 100 calls per day or 100 calls per hour,
hmm
which I think a lot of small businesses are not going to have that much usage, but it's just like there it only takes one to screw everything up for everyone, kind of.
But why would that affect everybody else? Like, why does it matter?
So because we're using Twilio to run all these calls basically,
Yeah.
and Twilio has policies and limits in place that allow us to do certain things but not certain other things. So yeah, it's just tricky. It's just tricky. Like some of the things I wasn't expecting these issues now per se, but I should have seen them. I should have seen them
Could
long
you just
ago.
do it like a bank, like wire transfer limits? Like your daily limit is going to be a certain amount, your weekly limit and your monthly limit. That way you even if someone has like a big sale event and their inbound calls hit 500 for the day. Well, maybe the daily cap is only 500, but the weekly cap is 2,000. That way you're not getting like 3,500 on the week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can kind of mitigate it that way.
That's kind of, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
You got to
There's
find a tier basically.
exactly. And it's like, okay, so yes, we have to find the tiers, but then the way that that has been built out for chat is that's the first level of it. So if we give 500 calls for the agency that is then distributed across however many client accounts that they have, the agency is going to have the same problem that we're having right now, and they're going to have no fucking clue how to figure this out.
Sure.
So, and we need to basically have some way for them to be like, okay, well, you make a subscription plan that has X limit call limits that is applied to your clients, but then what if your client then goes crazy one day? Does that cut it for everybody in the entire agency level account?
Can you do credits per sub account or like calls per sub account?
Yes. Well, kinda, because we're still going to be charging per minute. Like there still is a raw usage charge, but the way that I'm like thinking about all these things, it's tough because it's not just applicable to one level. We have to think about how that then affects the sub account levels and how those restrictions are applied. And it's uh it's just complicated.
Yeah, it's like a whole trickle down effect. That's the tough part of being multi-layer, being something that's white labelable.
It's it's great on one hand, like we've definitely established ourselves as like a player in the space because of it, but damn is if it's not so complex. Like
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like it.
on the flip side of that, like when we did the demo, one of the things, and we've been demoing it to individual clients, some of the interesting things that people have said is they like the number one thing that people are interested in seeing or hearing first is hearing the actual quality of the voices first.
Okay, that makes
Nothing
sense.
about functionality or like how it works. They just want to hear what the voices sound like.
Truthfully, that would be the first thing I would think about because they're thinking about it of, is this going to convince my customer that it's a person or is it going to piss them off?
And this shows me that I'm way too deep in this thing to have context about what actually matters. And I'm so glad we're actually doing, beta test demos again because it gives me this real world information. Like my head is in like all this stuff that I just said, like about
Yeah, yeah,
concurrency limits and blah, blah. No one even fucking cares about that.
yeah,
It's how do the voices sound?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like languages, like what languages can it speak in? And it's like, well, there's just like with chat, it can do any, you
Pick
just
one.
select the language that you want. Yeah. And then there's like a billion voices for each language. So yeah,
Yeah, I think you're probably just so deep in the technical side that you're not like
yeah,
you might be missing the stuff that's obvious to you is not obvious to other people.
exactly. And yeah, exactly. And I think like where my brain is or has been is like agencies will eventually get to that point. So I think what I'm trying to do is preemptively solve those problems before they come across those problems.
Yeah.
Because at some point they're going to be like, all right, well, how do we make money from this? How do we create a subscription product around this?
Well,
And
and I think that
then
makes sense. Like the problem is eventually going to arise, and it will probably arise pretty quickly because you have some heavy hitters using the platform and white labeling it. Like some of your
yeah,
clients that have 1,000 sub accounts, or I don't know if that, but hundreds of sub accounts.
yeah, it's in the thousands now for sure. Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
Is it ever crazy to you to think that people using your platform are probably making significantly more than you are as the software founder?
It
I don't know if that's
definitely,
true. I'm just guessing. Like if I'm
I,
reselling this to 1,000 people,
yeah. It definitely crosses my mind. I mean, we've had people tell us that they're like, yeah, we just sold one agent for $17,000 setup fee. And I was like, what?
that kind of pisses me off in a way. Like you know that business owner is getting ripped off. I mean, maybe they're not. I don't know. I guess it's all priced on value, but
It's all relative.
It's
Yeah. I
all
mean,
relative. It seems crazy, but maybe that's just because I wouldn't pay
there's
17K for a
there's an
setup.
account, there's a connected account that we have in Stripe that's done over a quarter million in the last 12 months in
Yeah,
sales,
that's awesome.
which is insane.
Wait, a connected account meaning what?
Like a connected account through Stripe, so like we can see their tracked revenue.
So
Some
they've tracked a quarter million through reselling
yeah,
Stammer agents?
yeah,
Yeah, got it. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good.
pretty good. Some agencies don't use the connected accounts in Stripe. They charge for it off platform,
See that, yeah, that was my next question. Because
and we
the
can't.
companies that have 1,000 accounts, I guarantee they're doing more than a quarter million a year.
Oh, I already know. I know they are. Yeah.
And if it was me, I probably wouldn't bill. I wouldn't bill through a connected account because Stripe's at 3.9% is kind of crazy. I would just invoice for it separately.
Most of them already have their subscriptions and billing, like they already have it in another system. And like we've had a lot of people recently that are not agencies but other software platforms, and they're like, how do we just sell AI to our clients as well and include
Interesting.
it? And they're like, we don't want to build everything that you've already built, so we just
Well,
want to.
it's actually interesting that you say that because I've been thinking about using Stammer to be our support bot because we
Oh, perfect.
have like our support documentation all built out in Trello.
Yeah.
Like no one looks through support documentation anymore. Even I don't. I had a question about Descript today. I went to ChatGPT. I'm like, I'm not even going to try to use their FAQ because ChatGPT is just going to scrape it for me and find the data.
It's a good point.
It's crazy.
It's a
Yeah.
good
I
point.
think I think like support like intercom and stuff like that, it's done. Unless you just use it for AI basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Your customer support now, your FAQ should basically just be a Q&A box that's backed by AI that has all the information about your business.
Yeah. And if it's not, like, what are you doing?
Well, it's just going to frustrate customers. Like our I notice it in myself. My patience for getting information is this thin. Like I will find it immediately using AI. I'm not going to like do deep research on things mainly because I know how to prompt it.
And if then you just click the deep research button and then it will do, it'll
Yeah,
do the
there you
deep
go. Yeah,
research.
they'll do deep research for you.
Yeah. Yeah. People have been asking to get for us to add in the web search functionality as like another alternative model. And it's annoying because like this damn white labeling and all these levels, because it's like, yes, we could just add it as functionality and that'd be easy, but then it's like, how do we control permissions? How do we add billing? How do we add rebilling?
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Doesn't it kind of defeat the purpose though? Because if this is supposed to be learned off of the company's data, then why do you need a research button?
It's a good point. Yeah. I mean, it's basically just because multiple people have been asking for it.
Yeah.
So
Are these good customers asking for it? Or are they just like people that don't understand the product?
they are customers that have already built custom functions to do it outside of the app.
Got it.
So they've already spent the time to basically recreate web search, but through a custom function in Google Search API, and then pull that information back in as context, and then it synthesizes that answer and then gives the response. And we're like, oh shit, okay, well, like you already did all the work. These guys are already all on full SaaS mode plans.
Yeah.
So like, all right, well, we'll definitely look into that for you. But
Yeah.
that's a good point. Like it does take away kind of the knowledge base side of things, where if you're doing one, then the other one doesn't really apply, and vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah. It defeats the knowledge base purpose behind it.
Yeah, which is probably one of our most core functionality pieces, and one of the longest pieces of feedback that we've gotten from agencies is that it's like our system and the way that we've laid it out and how you can do that piece of it and upload data, scrape websites, and then add it to like that is one of the simplest and easy ways to do it and understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, do we really want to just like not let people do that? And then, yeah, and then it just changes other things. Like then people don't need character storage, which then means we don't charge for it.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm not jealous. That's a lot to figure out.
the pleasures of, yeah, dude. Some days I'm just like at dinner time ish. I'm just like I just sit down at the dinner. I'm just like
Can't even wrap your mind around it.
mentally wiped.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always have to like force myself to go to the gym on those days because like I just gotta like even if I don't want to, just get out of that. Like if I've not left the house all day long or left my desk all day long, like for my mental health more than my physical health, just like go do something else. Like you have to.
100%. Yeah. Honestly, I'm so bad for that lately because I've got like, there's the gym.
There's
I've got this setup right here. Plus, 2 kids at home. I'm working from home. I'm like, I don't even have an excuse to leave sometimes. I just need to find a reason to get out and clear my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Change of topic. We talk about recommended content. We normally do that at the end. What about recommended software? And I'm putting you on the spot first because I have one that's very obvious, but I just started using it and it's fucking amazing.
Okay, you go first.
I might as well just Descript.
Oh
Dude,
yeah.
it's so good. The functionality it kind of pisses me off. It's like there's things that I feel like are obvious that are not where they should be. But aside from that, once I've like figured out the navigation, it's amazing for recording, turning it into blog content, turning it into short form like threads and X posts, and actually just recording a YouTube video and one-click publishing to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried it today. I interviewed this like high-level agency owner. He works with over a dozen 9-figure brands. I spoke with him today and recorded it on Descript and then just dissected it into some short-form content. And it was so easy. It took me like 2 clicks. I made a LinkedIn post, and like went through the whole thing, and I'm just amazed at how easy it is to do on one platform. So
Yeah.
shout out Descript.
I love it. I mean, I made a short form video about them a couple of days ago. I was like, this is one of the best AI. I'm like, I'm trying to put you guys on good tools. Like, this is one of the best tools, and I use it pretty much every day or every other day. Like, that's how I do all of our edits.
It is actually probably the best tool. But I also want to tell you about this interview. Dude, it's a different level on media buying when you get to the 9-figure mark. It's
9-figure, what's that? 100 million?
100 million.
Yeah.
So I was chatting with him about his spend on Meta, and I'm like, what's your budget usually? Like, how much are you spending for these accounts? Because we don't have a single customer that spends less than $1 million a month. He's just on Meta alone.
Jeez.
It's crazy. And he gave me an example of one account. I can't say the name of the brand, but they're a huge cosmetics brand in the US, like one of the leaders. So just take your pick and you'll find them. And they spend $7 million a month, which is about $250,000 a day on Meta. And I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I'm like, how do you manage spend at that level? And it's so interesting. You don't use any attribution tracking on Meta. You don't look at the cost per purchase. You don't look at the return on ad spend. They're irrelevant metrics at that level. What you're looking for is the impression percentage among new users that have not seen your brand before.
Impression percentage?
Yeah.
Is
So
that
it's
just
like
based
what
off of
percentage of people are seeing your ads don't know that your brand exists or have not purchased your product. And you get to this size where when you're doing hundreds of millions of dollars, in like the high 9-figure range, so close to a billion. Basically, the majority of people in the US have used your product.
Yeah.
So
That's
in
what I was
this
gonna.
case, it's 30% of all women in US have used this product. So you think about that, it's like when they think about spend, they're thinking about how do we capture new traffic, because their retention is also about one new purchase per month, approximately. So if they're just spending money on ads and don't really understand the targeting behind it, if they're not using an attribution platform, in this case, they're using Northbeam, if they don't use that, then basically all of their budget is going to go towards retention marketing and getting people to rebuy the next product.
Yeah.
So the ROAS is going to be amazing, but you're basically just like a snake eating your own tail because you're just going after your own audience. So they use these crazy attribution softwares in this crazy AI algorithm to analyze all of this data and figure out what percentage of the purchases are coming from new customers all the way down to the ad set and the ad. So what ad is actually contributing the most revenue among new customers? So it might look like a 1.1 return on ad spend versus another ad that has a 10 ROAS, but the 10 ROAS is just people repeat buying. And the 1.1 is all new customers, people discovering the brand, buying it for the first time, and the average customer buys a new product every single month. So it's like, it's just such a different level. It's kind of, I compare it to advertising an iPhone. It's like
Yeah.
if you want to advertise the iPhone, what's the new one? I guess the 16. If you advertise the iPhone 16, how do you know you're not advertising to people that already have the 16 or have the 15 and are not going to buy it? You know what I mean? It's like how, if you are advertising the iPhone 16, how do you target people that have the 13 or target Android users? You know what I mean? It's like because everybody has the product and everybody knows about the product, it's such a difficult task to actually find people that have not used your product.
And they're, I mean, at that level of spend, they're probably outpacing new consumers that have aged into the market for the beauty brand.
Sorry, what do you mean?
So like, I mean, every day, like a new girl will be buying their first makeup set or like turning a certain age, which then qualifies her to be a potential customer of that brand. But in the United States, probably there's only X amount. I mean, there's a number of those of that cohort of people, and they're probably spending more money in advertising than those amount of people.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, exactly. They're going after competitors. I mean, makeup is obviously hugely competitive, so they're going
Yeah.
after the biggest competitors in the world.
Wow.
But
That's
it's
really
yeah,
good.
it's quite interesting. He's talking about. He's like, yeah, when we run sales, we're over 500,000 a day in spend. Like that's crazy. That's crazy how you quantify it. When he increases the budget, it takes 3 days for it to catch up because there's just more budget available than there are people to reach. Kind of
And
crazy to think
and
about that.
people are tripping over spending like $100 a day and being like, I'm like, that's your competition. That's who's bidding against you in the feed. Like,
Yeah.
there's no
That's
way to.
why it's tough to start. That's
Yeah.
why it's tough. Like when you start a business, you're competing against teams with hundreds of millions of dollars and unlimited resources. And they're better than you.
Yeah.
It's just difficult. That's why it's difficult.
That's one thing I'm trying to think. I'm doing more marketing pushes now for Stammer and tried ads a couple different times, but with all the other things that I'm doing and products and stuff, like I'm now thinking I need to find another agency again to do ads that is their life and they can synthesize what we're trying to do into more concrete results if it does work, if it doesn't work, or what works, what doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got to pick my battles. Like it's like I think I know ads, but then I hear stuff like that. I was like, oh, I don't know anything.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, even for me, I had done it for 6 years. And I felt like I was pretty good at it. But even talking to him, I'm like, what I was doing doesn't even come close
Yeah.
to some of this high level spend. Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, that was a little out of left field, but I keep getting drawn back into the agency game. It's so exciting. I think I miss it.
Just pulling you back.
Yeah, I know.
Come
It's
back to
sucking
us,
me back
Brock.
in.
That's good.
Yeah.
Um, oh yeah, so my I guess tool recommendation. I like that too because I come across more tools than I do I think content. Um, Manus.im.
Did you make a video on that?
Mm,
Yeah. No,
maybe.
no. We talked about this last week.
Oh, we did. Oh yeah, we did. Well, that'd be my recommendation.
Manas.
What?
What's the? How do you
M
spell
A
Manus?
Manus.im.
All right, give me the rundown.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's another AI tool, and it can go and do more actions than just give a response. So, like for example, at ChatGPT, if you say, "Hey, create me an Instagram carousel with this information about this topic," it will spit out the text for those 6 slides as a carousel. With Manus, it will first create the text, then it will design a slide for each. It'll design the slides for each slide, and then it will build the slide in HTML. Then it will compile all of those slides into a PDF and then spit out a complete PDF that you can then just use and like you can just use it right away.
That's probably the most underrated tool right now because that's everybody's problem with ChatGPT. It's like copy the text, put it into Canva or something. Like that's now the time delay. It's turning the output of ChatGPT into something creative.
Yeah. So when OpenAI went down and like half the internet went down last week, I was like, oh, we need to make something that will showcase how Stammer bots will not go down because we have our backup models with Claude and Grok. And I was like, that would be a really cool Instagram carousel to make. So in I think in one chat I made well, so this one's slightly different. I had the text be made in ChatGPT because ChatGPT has all the memory of what Stammer can do.
Sure.
So I had it make that, and then I pasted that in. And I was like, okay, now make this Instagram in these dimensions, and then it went and then generated the whole thing, and then this is what it gave me in the right format. And it's like, it's still pretty generic, but it hits the nail on the head in terms of like what I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, it has the right storyboard.
Exactly. So like, I was like, damn. And this is, a one shot go at it. Like if I was to spend a little bit more time and, modify it as needed, it would probably turn out better. But just the fact that it did that in like one go and did that entire process without me having to intervene at all is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely good for a first pass.
Yeah. The other thing, so last week we talked about how I had a video go viral. And that video right now is at 1.9 million views.
Nice. That's awesome.
I had another one go viral.
Right on.
This one's at 4.8 million views.
Holy shit, dude. That's amazing.
So, and I was so scared to post it. So this is the one I posted last week. I trained ChatGPT to be my business partner. And then I gave like, here's the prompt, how to use it, right? And I was like, okay, I like this format, but let me try it with something else. So then I was like, oh, let me make a meme post. And I was so scared to post this because I was like, I've never posted anything like it, but it hits it hits the point of being entertaining, but then I pull in this little, here's a better way to do it, which makes it educational, and then give them the prompt in the caption here. And then I took it one step further where again, I put in the automation sequence, comment biz prompt, and then I'll send you my full prompt library.
Nice.
And I said, make sure you're following and your DMs are open so I can actually message you. Because
I'm starting to see that a lot more often now.
yeah. And I mean, just like
Blew up.
thousands of comments, 10,000 comments.
Dude,
I'm at
10,000 comments. So that's
198K.
5,000 real comments.
No, I turned off my responses.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, because Instagram was starting to have some issues.
Okay.
So I turned it off. So now I'm just DMing them straight. And like if I go into these are all within the last, like if I just refresh, it's probably going to show more. But like I have just thousands of messages. Like it breaks sometimes. If I go into my requests, there's thousands of requests. It's crazy. But dude, it also grew my followers by like 15K or something in the last
That's
48
crazy.
or like in the last 5 days. So I'm really hoping it pushes me to over 200, which would be sick.
That's huge.
So yeah, and this was my video on Descript. This one feels illegal to know. But yeah, so like this, I was talking with a couple buddies in my content creator group chat, and it's like the perfect combination of being entertaining but also educational, and that like makes the perfect like holy grail of content style to get to have something go viral. And
That's pretty cool that you figured that out. Honestly, I normally think of those as two separate things. I wouldn't have even thought to put them together.
It was on a whim, and I was like, let me just try this out. And of course, it's just that's the one that just
That's always
goes
how
like
it goes.
crazy. So I'll probably be chasing that success for the next year or so.
Yeah. Try to recreate that.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And I think it's a great lead funnel because there's another 10,000 people in my list now from that
For sure.
who
Yeah.
have opted in.
Are any of those people, did you notice a spike in Stammer downloads or not downloads, trials?
Not on the current timeline. Usually it takes a few days to catch up for those analytics. So like tomorrow I'll be doing that poll for the last week, and then we'll be able to compare week to week to see how things went up. But when we were looking at analytics, Instagram was I think like 65% of our traffic over the last week and a half, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of the other ones, direct still is. That's like the downside of having a name that's memorable, easy to spell, is people will see it and then they'll just go to the browser and type it in direct.
Yeah. I mean, downside for tracking, but plus side for the brand.
Exactly. So usually 80% of our traffic or I'd say 75% will be direct from that method. And it's so tough to know, like, where did you guys even come from?
Yeah.
But I know a lot of them are just seeing my content, clicking on my profile, and then either clicking to the Stammer profile or through my link in bio page, which is now like our number 3 most referral domain, on the referral domains list.
Is your link in bio?
Is my link in bio, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
Is this all through Google Analytics?
Matomo.
Matomo. I'm gonna check
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah, I've used Matomo for quite a while. There are many pros and cons to it. We're now just kind of deep into it to where I don't want to change it per se.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about lock-in, vendor lock-in. God damn.
Yeah, there's a few tools like that where it's like, nope, cannot switch this. Even if the other tool is better, the headache of trying to change is just not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not
So
even going to
there,
bother. Honestly, I'm on Firebase. I'm not even going to look.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even bother. And that's the same thing. Like when you were showing me your ones, I was like, oh, we should try this and we should try that. And then we go and we look at what it would take. And we're like, oh,
Like, nope, not worth it.
let's just focus on the product. And we're actually going to be building in our own analytics dashboard into our own app for like super users only.
Oh, cool.
We have our back end. We have Matomo, but we're still like taking things from multiple places and trying to consolidate it into one. And
Yeah.
it's not useful if it takes us a while to do that work manually. So now we're going to build something in React in the front end of the website or in the app that's only visible by like me and the team. And then we'll be able to pull data from all these different places and make the dashboards specifically to what we want to see, which I think is going to be very useful. And we'll
Yeah.
have much better attribution and tracking and analytics over what people are doing when. It's also going to help us with chargebacks as well, because we'll be able to easily have user logs, user communication, like all this stuff in one place, and then just click download, and then I'll be able to use that in the
chargeback case.
counter dispute report
Yeah.
situation. Not that
Yeah.
we don't get a lot of chargebacks in general, but it's always useful when that stuff is easily accessible, when someone's like, oh, this was fraud, and then we go and look at their account and they're using it and they haven't canceled, and like they're like using it actively, and I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, and submitting support tickets and things and asking questions. It's like,
Oh my gosh. Speaking of which, we had somebody do that. We posted like a Q&A story, and this woman, it's like this, it's so confusing, it doesn't work, and then left us a review on the App Store, like a 1-star review of like,
no.
it doesn't make any sense, we can't use this app. And then, not joking, 12 hours later, submitted a support ticket, we resolved it. And she's like, oh my God, thanks so much, that makes sense. I'm like, motherfucker, come on. So I asked our co-founder, now Tara, co-founder, about it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and she's like, oh yeah, I've worked with this woman before, nothing but a nightmare. Like, I got the exact same thing on my courses and my programs and everything. She's like, I would probably just not engage at all. Just, how it goes. Shitty customers. Everybody
Yeah.
has them.
Those are tough.
Yeah.
We have a we have a word like we basically named our customers that are like that, or potential customers that are like that, after the first person that we ever dealt with.
That's so funny. It's like your version of a Karen.
Yes, basically. Same first letter too.
Oh,
And
that's funny.
and it's just like, oh, we're getting vibes from this person. Like, we should probably tell them that this is not going to be a good fit, and best of luck. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
some people are sometimes it's just not worth it.
That's a practiced reflex to be able to say, not worth my time. Like, to be able to foresee the damage that's coming down the road or the problems that they're going to cause. You don't know until you go through it 100 times. And you're like, I think I've seen this customer before. I don't want them.
And then knowing to trust your gut and not go against it.
For sure. Yeah.
There's so many times when I've gone against my gut and then it's never worked out. And
Yeah.
it always ends in the same way, like bad review, chargeback, refund, all this time wasted.
Yep.
We know better now.
Yep. You got to go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting though. Co-founder. When
Yeah.
did that happen?
Well, so she's been putting so much work into the app and into the sleep
She's one in
feature.
Australia, right?
Yeah, she's in Australia. Yeah. So this is Tara in Australia. Um, she's put a ton of work into like the calculation behind the sleep feature, which is really important, and mainly just getting brand deals for us, bringing on customers. She's so influential on social media, which has been obviously huge for us while we build up our following. And just has a passion for the space. So it's just a simple question in my mind of like, am I going to do this better without her or with her as a partner? So Kathy and I decided like to have 100% of this where we're going to struggle to build it, or have 80% of something where she's going to be able to
Yeah.
really take the ball and run with it and absolutely blow it up. Of course, it makes sense.
That took me a while to come to terms with as well, but that is the better play.
I think it depends on the business. It really depends on the business. Because if it's something that's going to have a low exit multiple, like an agency where it's service based, I don't think those make a lot of sense to split. I think you just hire the people that you need to hire.
Yeah.
Growth is not something where you need investment for. But for
Yeah.
something like software, like if there's value to be added by having somebody contribute skills or growth or something into the product where it's going to make the enterprise value infinitely larger, just makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I think our enterprise value for Bambi, it's nothing, but it's like 200 grand. So if we were to sell it right now, that's my calculated value for what it would be worth.
What's your ARR? Or how are you doing that?
3,500 a month MRR by 12 months times 5.
So 5x?
5x.
There was a business that somebody was talking about the other day that was it was like 5.1, 5.2, and they had, I think it was like 6 or 7K MRR. So I mean, it's in the ballpark. Yeah.
I think it's around it's like in and around there. But I'm just, so anyway, that's how I'm thinking about it. It's not like the added MRR is going to contribute 1.2x to the valuation.
Yeah.
It's like if the added MRR, if she even brings on $1,000 in MRR, that's easily $50,000 in added enterprise value. So I'm like, it just makes logical sense to have somebody that can help it grow.
Do you think you'd sell it?
Of course. I mean, everything's for sale. You got to get the right number.
That's true.
Would I sell it now? No. I mean, that doesn't make sense.
Well, no. Yeah, obviously not now, but like, yeah, because I've been thinking about that a lot lately too. Like, is that something I want to do even eventually, or do I want to make it so that way it runs more autonomously, and having a high cash flow business is always fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to go through the process of trying to start a new thing again, even though shiny object is always going to be, it's always there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like doing an exit for where we're at, that could be tens of millions of dollars. So I don't know.
It's a tough question to ask, because what I learned from going through a very small exit is that whether you're going to build the business to sell or build it to cash flow, you have to remove yourself either way, because eventually either you're not going to want to do the exact same thing you're doing every day, putting in these ridiculous hours every day. So you have to find somebody to replace you anyways. And if you go through the process of exiting, you just have to do that faster. You have to do it by force. You have to like remove yourself from your daily operations in order for it to be a sellable asset.
Yeah.
But so you're going to have to do that either way. So I would say like position yourself for exit as fast as, position yourself for exit, and then you have the option to do it if you want.
Yeah. Well, I think it's definitely put the people in the right place. Like, even though I know I'm not Zuckerberg, I think taking some of his management styles is quite interesting. Like, he's still the one in charge and heads up everything, yet hiring people and putting good people in the right places to do that work. And it's like, I'd be so interested to ask him, kind of like where do you find your line of, not doing the work basically? Like, are you just coming up with ideas and delegating them and everything, or like, I feel like everything that we know about the guy, he's like still at some level kind of like, tinkering and doing something. And for me, that's like with a lot of the stuff within the product, like I was talking about earlier, like figuring all that stuff out. That's not something I could hire out to somebody right now.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Unless I paid somebody from GHL, to like some executive from GHL who's been there since day one and was like, okay, tell me how to do this, like who's already done it in that specific model. Like I think there is always someone there.
there's always someone, but I think that there's a growth phase that you can't delegate. Like,
Yeah. I'm still in that growth phase.
you definitely are. This obviously, you're not Zuckerberg,
Exactly.
you're not Steve Jobs, but I'll use the example.
Yeah.
You can't outsource Steve Jobs up until like the year 2001 or 2002 to release the iPhone. It's like that had to. There is one person that's driving the momentum forward. That's like really steering the ship.
Yeah. The vision.
So eventually you can hand it off, but it is probably not something that you can do when you're in the like serious growth stage, proving
Exactly.
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
And then the flip side is, you know, you get a $10 million exit, you own half the company. That would be pretty good.
That would be pretty nice.
Like $5 million is a great baseline, but you will work again. That's the thing. It's not like everyone's like
I
$5
think
million, I retire, buy a house, and like fucking travel around the world.
I wouldn't do that. Like, that's just not who I am.
Well, no, you go out of your fucking mind.
I would go crazy. Yeah, exactly. I would go crazy. Like, even if I was to make like $100 million, I would, travel for a minute, but like a couple, maybe a couple weeks, but then I would be instantly looking like during that trip, I would be brainstorming the next venture and how to drop a couple million into a new thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like instantly. Like, it wouldn't be a.
Well, I think so. That's the other big exit question is like, you're going to do something again. So if you like what you do, and if you are going to do what you're already doing, maybe it doesn't make sense. Might be better to just grow the thing you've already done. But if you don't have not just shiny object syndrome, but if you know that there are not significantly better opportunities that you would be a better entrepreneur to pursue, like, unless that's the situation, it might not make sense to sell.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point.
That's why I sold the agency. So I'm like, there are just better opportunities. I've been doing this for 6 years. It's tough to grow the MRR, tough to grow the enterprise value. Like, I think there are better opportunities in software. So if I get out now, I will be starting from zero, but at least I'll be starting from zero at something that has probably higher enterprise value. So, and that made sense.
Hence the name of our podcast, Agency to SaaS.
There you go. Yep.
And that'll wrap it up for this week. So
I guess so. Yeah, there it is.
Nice tie a little bow on it.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Cool. Yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
See you guys.